Hi, I'm Mark Needham with Startree, and in this video we're going to learn how to ingest complex JSON documents with a nested structure from Apache Kafka into Apache Pinot. So let's get started. So on the screen now we can see a file which has some JSON documents that we're going to ingest into Kafka and then get them from there into Pinot. And if we move over to the terminal, we can have a look at what one of these files looks like. So you can see they're representing TV shows. You can see we've got an ID, we've got a title, we've got some other metadata around the episodes. And then we've also got a nested structure containing one of the individual episodes. It's the last episode that was aired, and there's a bunch of metadata in there as well, including a name, an ID, an overview, and some other metadata. What we're going to do now is use a tool that can infer the Pinot schema. So let's get that command set up. So you can see here we've got to specify which fields are going to be metrics fields, which one's going to be our time column, and then everything else will be a dimension field. And then we also specify the name of the schema and where exactly we want it to write this schema. And so if we run that command, we'll see it's writing our schema to config/tv_shows.json. So if we open that up in Visual Studio Code, this is what we'll see. So we can see like the top level columns have been picked up and they've all got types associated with them. But we can also see that we've got the nested ones as well. And so every time there's a nested one, it starts with last episode to air dot and then the field name. So dot air date, dot episode name, and so on. And so what we can do is we can choose to keep those names and then that will be directly mapped by Pinot itself, or we can choose to name it like ourselves. So for example, let's change the vote average to be last episode to air, vote average. Now if we do that, we're going to have to create a mapping function, which we'll do in our table config file. So let's move over to there now. And so from the top, so again, we've got, remember this is a real-time table. It's coming from a streaming source. So we need to specify the type as real-time. We also need to specify the schema, the time column that we've got. And then if we move down to the stream config, you can see we're saying where does Kafka living? What's the name of the topic that we're using? So it's events in this case. And then if we come down further into the ingestion config, we can see in here, we've got to make sure that we put the complex type config property. So that will make sure that it handles nested data, otherwise it will just be ignored. And then in this case, we're using the default delimiter, so which is a period or a full stop. But you can choose to use anything that you like there. So we could use an underscore or we could use any other character we fancy. And then the other thing that we've put in here is we've got a transform config. And so these are like little bits of code that are applied just before Pinot ingests data. And so in this case, what we're doing is we're saying, look up last episode to air dot vote average and put it in the last episode to air vote average column. So now if we move over back to our terminal again, we can run the add table command. And if we run that, so we're going to create the schema and the table in the same command. And once that's finished, I'll give that a few seconds. We'll navigate over to our web browser and the Pinot UI. And if we refresh that, we can see we've now got a TV shows table, although at the moment there is no data. So now if we come back to our terminal, we're going to use the Kafka console producer. We're going to pipe our shows.json file that contained all those TV shows into that command. That'll put them into Kafka, and then Pinot is going to pick up the records and ingest them into itself. So we'll run that, and then if we go back to our Pinot UI and we refresh that page, run the query again to check what records are in the TV shows table, we can see that everything has been ingested. We can see that the data's in the vote average field, and we can see those other ones with the nested field names as well. And so everything's worked pretty well here, and we've got the data for this complex set of JSON documents into Apache Pinot. So now it's your turn. See if you can try this technique on your own data, and we look forward to seeing how you get on. And of course, we'll see you in the next video.